What are your thoughts on these corporations and these businesses? Do you think that they're in many ways, when they capitalize on these social justice movements, are they targeting conservatives?
Yeah, I mean, essentially they're imposing a modern heresy code. And if you step out of line with the new heresy code that's sort of ill-defined, then you're going to get canceled, right? And that goes on, in terms of dialogue. Like, for example, when Martina Navratilova had been a long-term ally, she was openly lesbian way before it was, safe to do that in America or even globally. Once she spoke out about protecting women's tennis for biological women, canceled. No tolerance for that. And you apply that to the business world, it's like, if you're going to provide any sort of capital that would be at odds with that, they'll cancel the business, they'll cancel the person. And you've seen that not just in, political life, people that are overtly political, or say celebrities that are sports folks. You're seeing it to everyday Americans with being debanked, essentially being told, you're not going to bank those people, are you? And that's a horrible thing. I mean, we've had that as part of our history, and we can't let it stay part of it.
So why do you think a lot of these companies continue to do that when you see the backlash and the boycotts and from conservatives who are like, we're not going to stand for this? Why do they keep doing it?
Well, one of the big factors is who owns the shares, right? So the hedge funds, like CalPERS, for example, California Pension, the hedge funds are run by folks that are on the left often, and they vote the shares not necessarily for the best value for the pensioners or the best returns. They vote them for some of these other goals. And that's being formalized under ESG goals, environmental, social, governance goals that are good for the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? They never want to completely define the stakeholders, but who are they not? They're not the shareholders, right? The shareholders are the people that own the shares. And often the people that do own the shares, with your Fidelity account, your Schwab account, your Robinhood account, those people don't end up voting their own individual shares. So these proxy firms vote the shares. And they are steering the management team to go towards left goals.
Next election, 2022. What do you think it's going to take for the House, for the Republicans to take the House and take back the Senate?
The biggest challenge for us is to make sure we have one party on the right. And the only way to do that is to focus on the future of the party. And the future of the party, just like the theme here at CPAC, is the winning coalition that Donald Trump led that was built broadly and became bigger and more diverse and focused on the real needs of American people, the American worker. Yes, trade's fine, but not trade that disadvantages American businesses. When China promises to be a market economy and 0 countries recognize China as a market economy, then you can't say that they're really engaged in free trade. And the globalists were okay ignoring that fact to keep making money for themselves at the expense of the average American. Donald Trump called that out. He led the coalition. That's the future of the party, not the failed past of stagnant economy and endless wars.
How do we bridge the gap between the establishment and the conservative Trump supporter base that aren't happy with the politicians who want to resume business as usual?
I think we just have to move out and go in the right direction, right? And people will either follow or they'll go a different way. And I don't know that we need to be excommunicating people. We don't necessarily build a bigger party by cutting folks off, but we need to be clear where we are headed and where we're not headed. And what are the consequences of failing on that? Look at Georgia, for example. People weren't confident where we were headed, and they stayed home, and Democrats won. So we need one party on the right, but that party has to be rightly focused.